Hey everyone, internet friends, soul family, welcome to this conversation. It's a very special convo. I'm stoked to have Sophie Yerasimos and Joel from the podcast you may know quite well called Here for the Truth. And they have a brand new, season 10. It's not a brand new program, but they're launching season 10 of their program, Rise Above the Herd. So welcome.
Thanks for having us. Real quickly, Sophie isn't part of the podcast, but she has listened to every single episode.
I have. I've been on two. I've been on two of the episodes that are not directly involved in the podcast, but I am directly involved in Rise Above the Herd. So I get to jump in for that, which is
Awesome.
amazing.
And you guys are together personally, right?
Sophie's my wife. We've been married for over 5 years and together for over 9.
I love how you can, work together so powerfully and effectively in the world and, just demonstrate that. But so Joel and Yerasimos, you guys started Here for the Truth. It's been seen by millions of people now. And I don't know if you keep track of your downloads or whatever, but you've done almost 200 episodes, right? And I just watched a couple this week. I've been following you on the socials for the past year or so. And Yerasimos, we met personally in Music and Sky 2022, and right away it was like, he gets it, soul brother, right? So I look forward to meeting you, Joel, and Sophie. You and I also met at that time. So, but you guys have been creating awesome work for the last couple of years on your podcast. Can you just bring us up to speed for those of us that aren't familiar with it?
Joel?
Yeah, totally, man. I guess Yerasimos and I met in early 2021 through pretty synchronistic circumstances. He and Sophie were actually a guest on a podcast I'm a big fan of called Unslaved. And I reached out to Yerasimos to just let him know how much value I got from that episode. And then, once in a lifetime friendships take place. We just, recognized there was, something really mutual there. We jumped on a Zoom call just to get to know each other and connect. Both realized that we shared the values of wanting to, start a podcast, and we were inspired by having conversations of this nature. Then the second time we ever spoke over Zoom, we simply recorded episode 1, sharing our own process and our own journey that was called Walking the Authentic Path. And basically the podcast has just been a vessel for us to continue to walk our authentic path and share that journey along the way. And here we are 190 plus episodes later.
And you guys, there's like no holds barred. I mean, you get into any topic really that people who are interested in the truth and in being their full being in this world, right? In awakening and what that means to each of us. I mean, you get into it all, right? Can you share maybe like what's one or two of the craziest episodes or that maybe perhaps most meaningful to you that you've done?
Well, first of all, I mean, we have conversations that we want to have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the driving factor. And we know we have a wide range of interests. And I think when we even think about what this word truth means, it's very easy to get caught up into like all the crazy stuff happening in the world and all the conspiracies. And I think what aligned Joel and myself from day one is that we really cared about internal truth, and really understanding ourselves. So, a lot of our episodes definitely are geared towards people reclaiming ownership of themselves and knowing themselves. But in terms of like other episodes, I mean, I think we've been a hub for, sharing Dr. Hammer's work and German New Medicine. We've had Dr. Melissa Sell on a bunch of times. So, those are great episodes to dive into. And then our first episode with someone we consider, I guess, an intellectual mentor and someone that we've had that we have a lot of respect for, Michael Tazarian, who is the co-host of Unslaved podcast. Our first episode with him called Unslaved, I think is a great one. But I mean, those are the ones that come off the top of my head. But if Joel wants to add anything, he can.
Is that episode 150 here, or did you do it?
No, it's I think it's 78.
It's 70. It's episode 78 was our first episode with Michael. We've done 5 with him now. I think definitely Michael's episodes, David Whitehead's episodes.
David Icke.
Honestly, my recommendation is people dive in wherever they feel intuitively called, and I feel like they're gonna have a good time, get a lot of value, and that'll lead them onto the next thing. It's a broader array of topics. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, man, the podcast is called Here for the Truth. That's the foundation of what drives these conversations. We like to get to the bottom of it, and we like to get a bit more intimate and understand the emotional impact and the journey that our guest is having and has been on as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to also highlight too that like anyone that is, considering exploring the podcast or even considering, learning more about Rise Above the Herd, which we'll get into, we did an episode with Sophie that really highlights the nervous system piece as well. So if you're curious more about that kind of work, that's an episode to check out, definitely.
I want to ask that more in a second because I think all of our audience is aware of the importance of that component in this whole process. And Sophie, I want to use the word master. I mean, you have so much skill and training in that area, and that's embodied, included in Rise Above the Herd program. So, but before that, I just want to ask this: it's a transformational 10-week process, right? And it starts. Do I understand correctly? July 29th, the 10th season starts July 29th, and it's called Rise Above the Herd. What various aspects does the course and program involve, and who is it for?
Yeah, great question. This includes a lot of various aspects, man, and an incredibly holistic program. But to me, the thing that shines through that is, steady throughout all the different components is that I believe this program is about how to truly value oneself. And I think a lot of the stagnancy and the mediocrity that we see, fester around us comes from that foundational lack of self-value, whether it's from developmental trauma, whether it's from conditioning through school, through religion, through spirituality, through Hollywood, whatever it might be. And I feel people get stuck on this hamster wheel because there's that inherent lack of self-value, which I prefer to call self-esteem, which is the crux of the program. What is authentic self-esteem, and how does one develop authentic self-esteem? And even what Sophie brings from the nervous system and physiological perspective, like to me, that's how do we enhance self-esteem within our own bodies as well, and even on a somatic level. Gerasimos, you can speak more to the direct different, I guess, systems that we utilize.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, there's many different elements, and I think for Joel and myself, because we've been on our own respective journeys, and Sophie as well. I've been in the personal development world for, I guess, close to 20 years and studying different elements. And, I think I personally believe, we take things from a lot of great thinkers of the past that really highlight that. What Joel was saying is, how do you really honor yourself, honor all of who you are, and get very, very clear on what you value, what your gifts are, and how you want to give those gifts in the world. And, there are many insidious forms of programming that get instilled in us to keep us small, to keep us lacking, to think that our inherent value comes from only what we do for other people. And with our program, we shine a light on that actually being a falsehood. And so self-esteem is a big piece of this. Getting helping people deprogram from a lot of new age stuff that's out there that I think keeps people limited. There's important elements on getting people to understand where they're living out of scarcity consciousness. So we have an entire module that is focused on people's relationship to money. Heroism is a big element of this. I mean, anyone that goes to the website, they can go and read through everything, read through the summaries of the modules as well. But ultimately, we want people to take back their power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, like, there's so much in what you just said that I resonate with, especially the part about the worth, like our worth is not in what we do for others. And to me, that seems to be really related to, well, where is the locus of power? Where's the locus of responsibility, of power, of embodiment, of choosing, of being of directorship, of ownership? Like, are we sovereign? Sophie, I want to ask you about this. The component that you're bringing so powerfully into this 10-week transformational process is the somatic aspect, is the nervous system healing. And we're all realizing, like, we can't do this separate from our bodies, right? So can you share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this flows directly from what you were just talking about. I mean, our nervous system is conditioned from the get-go of our life, and it dictates pretty much all of how we interact and view life through safe or not safe. How do we survive, or how do we keep going? And if we allow our nervous systems to continue on just their autopilot way that they've been, because a lot of us had conditioning that, made certain adaptations or made certain traits or characteristics or outview on life in a certain way. And we don't know it. And it's just sort of going along in that rote way until we shine a light on it, until we get really clear of, oh, okay, I grew up when I was really, really little, tiny little baby. The world wasn't safe for whatever reason. And it doesn't have to be big traumas. It doesn't have to be massive experiences. It can literally be just over time, like, oh, mom didn't attune to me, correctly. And maybe a lot of times that's no fault. It's just she didn't know how to, or she wasn't taught to, or she didn't have the foundations in doing that. Or, baby doesn't have an idea of timing. So mom leaves me crying for 5 minutes. To baby nervous system, that's going, I don't know if I'm going to survive this. And there's just series and series and series of this that happen throughout our life. And again, it's not good or bad. It's just that there's adaptations that are going to happen within our system, because the whole job of your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system, is to keep you safe and help you survive. And so it comes up with whatever ways that it can from a very early age, often, on how to do that. And then the problem is that I don't know about anyone who's listening to this. I certainly didn't, and I haven't come across anybody yet who was taught how to update their nervous system and adaptations throughout their life, right? So these things kind of happen, and then we go through life, and then eventually there might be a time when you're like, things aren't working for me, or I'm making certain decisions, or relationships are weird, or, certain patterns, and you're kind of like, why can't I change this? Why can't I change this? Well, your nervous system, again, is geared towards safety and survival. So it's going, this is how I know how to keep you safe. This is how I know how to make you survive. So I'm going to keep doing that. And anytime that you try to make massive changes, the autonomic nervous system is generally going to slam on the brakes and be like, that doesn't feel safe. That feels different or changed. I don't know what to do with that. And so you're going to get into that procrastination. You're going to feel that extreme resistance. You're going to backslide. All those things that then we go into, judgment about and things like that, versus, oh, my nervous system doesn't know how to keep me safe in this place. How do I, one of the main things that we talk about in nervous system work is slow is fast in nervous system work. The faster you go, it's actually, you're going to go slower because you're going to have to backtrack a lot. Versus if you actually go really slowly through it, the system comes along with you. So that's basically my role in the program. Is I lead individual calls, group calls on nervous system specific work. We go over the aspects of the work. We go over certain techniques, certain tips, certain tricks and tools. We go over different ways how to just sort of gain greater awareness of yourself, because if you don't have the awareness of, oh, my immediate trauma response is more sympathetic, or my immediate trauma response is more dorsal, or my trauma response is X, Y, and Z, it's a lot harder to make those changes if you don't have the awareness around it. So my job is really getting you into your somatic experience of life. What are you experiencing? What are the sensations? What's going on for you? Because then you get more in tune with and can hear what's happening and make changes from there, versus just I'm supposed to do this, so this is what we're doing. And then the nervous system's going to stop you because it's designed to, and it's designed perfectly, if we bring it along with us, it is actually going to be our biggest support and our biggest cheerleader and help us move so much more.
That's so good. Our community is familiar with our friend Xavier Dagba, who you've had on the show as well. And one recent quote that he said just sticks with me with regards to that. It says, when things feel unsafe, our primal survival impulse is to put our brightness in the closet, to turn off our light, and to hide. Joel, I want to ask you, what can people expect to come away with if, from point A to point B, from now to after the end of the 10 weeks? What have you noticed, and what are some of the things that people can expect in that 10-week time frame?
Honestly, man, just a reinvigorated sense of life and a reinvigorated sense of love for who you are as an individual human being, what it means to be alive what it means to have unique potential and unique gifts, and an excitement to go out there and truly be the creator that you are and actually create. And not only that, but like receive value for your creations. Um, I think for us, it's about closing the gap between who you are and what you do. And I think vocation is the highest path. And on the other side of this, to me, is you having a much clearer picture of who you are, what your purpose is, your unique purpose, and the confidence and the self-esteem to walk that path, go out there and actualize it. I think, like you mentioned, man, the state of the herd is quite machine-like. Most people are on a path of inauthenticity. Most people, not free will is a spectrum in my perspective, and even from a nervous system point of view as well. Like, do you have the capacity for joy? Do you have the capacity for success, for achievement, for your light? And I think greater autonomy over where one is going in life and where one is headed, and the integrated confidence and self-esteem to know that you're capable of making your dreams a reality. And that's what we're about.
That's so good. And so there's a link in the email if you got this via email, and there's a link in the YouTube description if you're watching it online. So the season 10 starts on July 29th, and you guys are continuing to do seasons after that, right? So if somebody's watching this, later on, it's the link is going to work for them to come in at a later date, correct?
Yeah, this is an ongoing program. It's something we're running probably 3 times a year now. So we're probably onboarding every 3 to 4 months. If this round doesn't work for whoever's listening, then yeah, keep an eye out. You can, join our email list or whatnot to stay updated as to when future rounds will be released.
Awesome. Yerasimos, how big of a group is it? And how much one-on-one or compared to group interaction is there? I think you have 4 spots left. Is that right?
Yeah, right now there are 4 spots left for this upcoming round. And so as far as the one-on-one time goes, people get one-on-one human design readings with me. So we haven't commented on that, but human design is another element of the whole program. So for anyone that doesn't understand, human design is a system of self-knowledge. It integrates four ancient systems into modern sciences. And so it's based on your birth information. So you'll input that information, you'll provide that to me, and we'll have, before the program begins or within the first week or 2, we'll have a one-on-one reading. And then during the 10 weeks, you can ask any questions that you have about your human design chart, and myself and Sophie as well will answer any of your questions. And I think I want to highlight that because a lot of coaching programs out there, it's kind of like the same thing for everyone. And so yes, while we're having modules and teaching and education that applies to everyone, it's filtered through your unique understanding of yourself, and we have that knowledge and we have that information to support you to go, hey, listen, what's your unique way of interacting with your environment? What's your unique way of making decisions? When you look at your life, all of us sitting here right now, the 4 of us sitting here and everyone listening to this, in one sense, you can say that your life is like a compounding effect, an amalgamation of every single choice that you've made. So the 4 of us, we've made all these choices in our life that have brought us to this moment right now where we're sitting together recording this video. So when you have an understanding of your unique way of making decisions that are more in line with your true nature, that could really alleviate a lot of resistance and suffering in your life. Now, as humans, we're going to experience suffering. It's part of life. It's part about being human. But perhaps we can alleviate that or have 30% less suffering. Maybe things don't need to be as hard. Maybe things can be a little bit easier and in flow. And so I think when we peel away the layers of conditioning, which is a huge piece of the program and obviously a big element of human design, we can really dial in and sit with and stake our flag in the ground even more of this is who I am. I don't need to be like that person on social media. I don't need to be what my mom and dad told me to be or culture tells me to be. Deep down, when I look in the mirror and in those moments when I'm by myself before I go to sleep at night, I know what I want. I know what changes I need to make. And it's unique. Each one of us is one of one. We're a freaking miracle. And so I think the more that we can embody and really tune into and feel that miracle of existence, that's a big piece of the puzzle. And I think that's something that we try to get forth is you are a miracle. Like, you have this life to live. Yes, we can talk all day about incarnation and other lives and this, that, but right now we have this life. We know we have it. What are you doing with it? Okay. And if you're not doing the things that you want to do, why not? And so I think in a nutshell, we help people get very clear on that and to fall in love with themselves and to fall in love with life and to fall in love with being creative. One of the elements of the program is we explore the architecture of the human psyche. So we talk about these elements, you know, and I personally think we have more than just the two selves, but I get what you're saying in terms of like the continuum. And I think it comes down to knowing ourselves, you know. Do we pay attention? Are we curious about the different patternings, the different parts of us that play out in different situations? And so, you know, our aim is to bring more clarity to that, because we are complex human beings. You know, anyone listening to this can kind of understand that, you know, when they're in different situations, they might behave a little differently or speak differently in different situations. So, you know, like the great Walt Whitman quote, we contain multitudes. So again, how are we the conductor of our own inner orchestra, and how do we build a relationship with these different parts of us, as opposed to them unconsciously taking over and causing havoc in our lives? And so that's a big piece of the puzzle as well. But yeah, man, I love what we do. I love this program. It's been amazing to see it transform people's lives, and we just want to keep doing it.
Yeah. And, you know, ultimately, we want to remind you that you are your own guru, priest, and shaman. And even to everyone listening right now, on some level, you already know what the most perfect next decision for your life is. And making that voice clearer and connecting to that core of truth within oneself is definitely a key goal of what we do. And I think for many people in their lives, they don't have that many people or relationships or authentic containers where they can share authentically and vulnerably about what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, what they're going through. And because of that lack of vulnerability and that lack of being able to share, that voice is actually harder to hear. But very often, what happens within these containers, which we keep the group small, it's 15 max, so it's quite intimate, is that when you're heard and when you share vulnerably within a group setting with other people who also get it, like that just releases so much of the pressure, and almost like instantaneously, you know, that inner genius comes through and already knows what the next step for one's life is, and how to solve it. So I think the connection that's built within each group is very, very unique. And we always seem somehow to find the right people with the right group coming together. And one of my favorite parts of the process is just watching the bond grow between students. And that vulnerability is something, and that connection, something like they continue on even past Rise Above the Herd. Many of our previous cohorts still remain connected. They find friends, they connect in person. Even we've had many of those stories come through. So if anything, just a place to be real and transform your life in a very powerful way.
Yeah. And that's the important element of community, is that like when you're witnessed in your healing process, great transformation can happen. Because a lot of times we're stuck in solitude and we think our problems, I'm the only one that's dealing with this. But we realize we're human, and you know, we deal with similar stuff. And so when you can share something openly and not be shamed and not be judged, and to be embraced, as opposed to very often in our lives, whether it's parents or partners, we were judged or we were shamed when we shared something. I mean, that's so powerful. And even just the idea of trauma, like Sophie will probably get into it. People think trauma is just the event that happens to you. And it's not. It's a misconception. It's what happens in your body, along with some other complex things, that in response to the event. So there are people who live in like war-torn countries and aren't experiencing the health issues and all these other elements because they have a sense of community, because they feel some sense of safety, even within community. And so one thing we love to provide is like a group of like-minded people. And this is one of the advantages of Joel and myself when we have our podcast, is that people kind of know what we're about. They know what we stand for. And so we attract similar-minded individuals. You know, we don't agree on every single thing, but we agree on foundational principles. And so to be in a group of people, like Joel said, some people are like, oh my God, I don't know anyone who thinks similarly about certain things going on in the world. So it's really powerful and really special. And for selfish reasons, I love it because I get to meet more people. I get to connect with more people. I get to make friends out of this process, and see people up level and transform, and live with more self-esteem and more confidence. And like, I don't know, like what's better than that?
Yeah.
And I love that, just in closing here, I love that you guys have a good time doing it. And you're reminding us all to just enjoy. This is about enjoying the ride as much as it is about remembering who we are and doing the work or whatever. And like, as an example of that, just before we went live, I was kind of like scrambling because of a few technical issues or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, you guys, the timing, forgive me. And you're like, oh, how's that feel right now? And I'm like, I feel tightness in my solar plexus and my root, and I love your response to that. Yerasimos, I don't know if you want to share that or whatever, but you guys just have such a good time. And these groups are just about us coming back and like actually enjoying each other and ourselves and the process. And,
Well, I said something silly. I won't say it now, but but the point is, and it's a good segue into something that I is a huge value of mine, is having fun and bringing lightness, even to serious stuff. Because again, life is so serious. Oh, we got to do all the things. I get it. That's a part. I understand. But can we bring a lightness? Can we laugh at ourselves too? And so I think the integration of like the seriousness and the humor and the lightness and not taking yourself too seriously is so important in any personal development process.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is about rekindling your life force, so by being able to come and to cry, to laugh, to feel excited, to feel powerful, to feel all the things, like you begin to generate flow within one's being. And, nurturing that flow and building authentic self-esteem, those two things are highly connected. Our goal is for you to walk away from this, being able to have the skills, have the self-awareness to keep moving forward.
So there's a link in the email or in the description of the video. There's 4 spots left. What's the investment? What's the next step for people to get on board?
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, there's 4 spots left, so people can hit that link. They can read through, the program, read through all our testimonials. There's a FAQ section down the bottom with all the call times already laid out for people. Any of the buttons will take you to the pricing card. The paid in full investment is $2,350. And we do also offer a payment plan, which is $900 across 3 months, for people that might find that easier to jump in.
Excellent. And there's the FAQ down there. So I would encourage everyone to do one of 2 things. Either get familiarize yourself with the Here for the Truth podcast. It's free. This is like just listening to you guys. It's just, and your amazing panel of guests, it just brings you back home, It's just realness. It's the realness that we've been craving. So, or if you're ready, just jump on board, just come in. There's going to be maximum 15 people in there, and it's going to be amazing and a blast by everything that I'm feeling and that what we're sensing here. So Yerasimos, Joel, and Sophie, thank you so much for your, for being here with us today and just introducing us to this, this amazing path that you've created and for your work in the world. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh.
Look forward to this.
Cheers. All right. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. This is Maria from Cyprus, and Rise Above the Herd changed my life. I began to choose better for myself, creating the circumstances that I desire, feeling empowered, authentic, and liberated from everything that weighed me down. If you're serious about changing and upgrading your life, then Rise Above the Herd is the right program for you.
Rise Above the Herd was like a lifeline to me in the moments I needed it most in my life. It introduced to me the most wonderful, like-minded souls, and it helped me really cast a vision for my future. Nowadays, I'm passionate about the work I'm doing. I'm being invited to speak at live teachings, and my work's being requested to integrate into school curriculums, and I'm just so excited about the future and what that holds, thanks to Rath.
And I've taken literally hundreds of courses, and this one is hands down the best one. I cannot say enough good about it. If you're on the fence about joining this program, grab your spot. Like, it fills up every time. The program is incredible, and you don't want to miss this opportunity.
Rise Above the Herd reminded me, because it is a reminder that I have all the power within myself to create change in my own life.
The biggest takeaway for me from Rise Above the Herd has been the profound realization that I am worthy of receiving, creating, and living the most amazing life I can imagine. I am worthy of life. Now, speaking these words before Rise Above the Herd would have felt like a lie, but now I can not only speak them, but embody them with such belief and confidence in myself.
Besides learning so many new truths that I never could have anticipated, the best thing for me about Wrath was clearing 16 years of monthly hormonal migraines using some of the healing techniques that I learned in Wrath, for which I am internally grateful and made the course so invaluable to me. Thanks, guys.
Rise Above the Herd for me was the kick up the pants that I needed to get unstuck from where I was in my life. I learned so much timeless, practical, logical knowledge that is so applicable for truth seekers and today's world. And by looking at unconscious programs that I didn't even know I was running, even if you think you're awake, the course will challenge you, but it instills knowledge that is unlike anything I've learned in other courses.
I feel so much better about myself, about my life, about reality since completing Rise Above the Herd. I am taking ownership and responsibility for my life. I know that I am the one to change my life through taking action. Thank you, Joel and Yerasimos, and Sophie.
Thank you, Joel and Yerasimos, for creating Rise Above the Herd. If I hadn't done this course, I wouldn't be focusing on myself, building my self-esteem, learning new skills, and the cherry on top is being connected to like-minded individuals who are all amazing creators and now my friends.
I completed Rise Above the Herd last year, and I can honestly say that there is nothing like it out there. It is a deep dive into getting to know yourself on a deeper level. What are your passions? What are you interested in? How do you want to create in the world? And it definitely helped me achieve that.
So Rise Above the Herd was a significant turning point for me. I guess I'd been playing small, hiding in the shadows, flying under the radar a little bit these last few years, and it really gave me the courage and the confidence to come out and stand fully in my light, speak my truth.
Rise Above the Herd came to me in perfect timing. It was the catalyst I needed, the kick up the bum to step up in my life. It gave me the confidence to study German New Medicine, which I love.
For me, Wrath gave me motion in my life. It's really the space and the vulnerability that Joel and Yerasimos created to really be your individual self. It's this 8 weeks that you go through with your peers is probably my favorite part, that you make these connections because you guys are evolving with self-reflecting and evolving together. And then for me, when I looked on the first video and then I looked back on the last video, after Wrath, I could see a huge difference in the blossoming of our journeys. So thank you, Joel and Yerasimos, for creating such a unique experience and a coaching program.